y'all. Welcome back to Correctional Officer Stories with Steve. As always, I am your host. I know what you're thinking. Where have I been? You haven't put up a video for like 3 months. The heck's going on? Well, there's been a lot going on, so bear with me. But appreciate you tuning back in. Thought I'd drop a quick video. Not going to get into everything that's going on because it's just my business, really. Anyway, getting back to a normal gig here. And I wanted to drop a video. For one, I haven't dropped one for a while, as you well know. And for two, it's just an update on the correctional officer testing process here in Arizona. My channel's based off a lot of different correctional videos and information, which may soon be changing. I don't know yet. I haven't really thought about it much, but it has been running through my mind. There's a lot of different ideas I have to do, it's just, I don't know yet. But just know vertigo's a real thing. That means you're dizzy all the time. So just we'll keep it there. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about the Arizona Department of Corrections testing process. When I was there as a sergeant, I was a recruiter and I did a lot of the testing. I went out to Lewis on Mondays and Thursdays, did the testing out there. And then on Fridays, I would go to Iman Complex and do the testing there. Now, since I've been gone now for about 2 years from there, I'm in a whole different position. Things have changed, right? Times have changed. 2020 has been an awful year for many reasons. We all know COVID's the biggest one, probably. Elections coming up. But anyway, I dropped a video a while back on the correctional officer testing process, what it takes to get in, what you need to know. And, I think it's helped out a lot of people that have become correctional officers, a correctional officer trainee, what have you. So I got a little cheat sheet in front of me just so I can give some accurate information. And you guys can go to the website and look. The fitness test is pretty much the same from what I remember. But I know there's a lot more testing sites. I think they test every single day. You can apply right online now. Before you had to call in or you send your resume and we'd make contact with you. But things have changed. As I was exiting, the correctional officer trainee was implemented. So we do it all as a sergeant. You do it all. You do the testing process, the recruitment part of it. You call the candidate and hire them and give them a Correctional Officer Training Academy start date, which is CODA. So it was a busy job. You go out into the community and you recruit. You recruit from the office a lot too. It's different now. I think they work from home several days a week. I don't know how much they go into the community anymore because of COVID. And also, you're in uniform, and we know that the uniform isn't highly respected like it used to be. Anyway, everybody might have a different opinion on that, and that's totally fine. But here's the thing. You're still going to do a written exam that's 60 questions. You're going to do a physical fitness test. And the written exam, you got to get a 70% to pass. Almost positive that's still the same way. If it's not, somebody in the comments, drop a comment, correct me. Or you can look on ADCRR, I think it is now, Arizona Department of Corrections Rehab and Rehabilitation Rehab, or the R&R, I can't remember exactly what it stands for. Excuse me. However, the fitness test, once you pass the written exam, you got to pass that written exam to get to the fitness test. It's not a hard written exam. It's 4 different sections. It's basically common sense. There is, I think the last part, if I remember correctly, when I was doing the testing, it applies to the job. So, but they're common sense answers. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. The fitness test consists of 8 different components. Now, I'm looking, I wrote it down, and I should know this, but I've been out for a long time. So you're going to start with some eye-hand coordination. They look like checkers. There's 4 rows, and I can't remember how many there are, but one side's red, the other side is black. So you start with that, and you got to do that in 2 minutes. So what you do is you pick it up with one hand, you turn it over to the other color. No, excuse me, you pick it up with the one hand, switch hands, turn it over to the other color, sit it down. And you go all the way down, all the way back, all the way down, all the way back. 4 rows. You got to do that within 2 minutes. It's to test your manual dexterity and your coordination, your eye-hand coordination. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it's done. Look at the website, or somebody drop a comment if that's not exactly how it's done, but I'm pretty sure you got to switch hands to turn the color over. Once you get all the reds, then you got to turn them all over to black, and you got to do that in 2 minutes. The next thing is the mobility test. So you got to do, let's see, you got to rotate at the waist 10 times right, 10 times left. And then you got to do 20 air squats, making sure your knees are bent. So down, up, down, up. And I believe you got to do that in 1 minute and 5 seconds. Once you get through that, you're going to do the sit and reach test. So you sit on your butt and you reach forward as far as you can. You got to go at least 6 inches. You can get it done. And remember, you got to pass each section to move on. The next one is the sit-ups. You got to do 20 sit-ups in a minute, which is cake, guys. Come on, cake. If you're a returning officer that's been in before, I want to say it's 24, 26. I can't exactly remember, but as a new hire coming in, it's 20. Then you do 4 push-ups in a minute. Now, when I went through back in the day, I want to say it was more like 30 push-ups in a minute. And then to graduate the academy, it was like 40. And it all went by age. So they've obviously taken that away because there's some age discriminatory issues there, right? And that's not the only reason. The process has gotten easier as times have gotten harder. And, you know, corrections is always short. Law enforcement in general is short, very short nowadays. Once you get past the push-ups, and now if you're a returning correctional officer, you got to do 6. Cake, right? Once you get past the push-ups, you do a 3-minute step test, and they start, it's a clicking noise, and you step up, down, down to the beat for 3 minutes. Once you complete that, they take you out at Lewis, they have like it's not really a track, but it's a circle. It's mainly the perimeter road and then around the parking lot. You got to do that. You got to do a mile and 15 minutes. It used to be a mile and a half. It's now a mile. If you're a returning correction officer, you got to do, no, it's 17 minutes. If you're a returning correctional officer, you got to do a mile and 15 minutes. Excuse me, before the run, you do, see, I'm totally off. That's why I've been off YouTube for a while. You got to do it's job-specific training. So you got to crawl 5 feet forward, crawl 5 feet backwards. You got to lift a 50-pound bag to your waist 3 times. And then you got to carry that bag. And I'm looking, I think you got to carry it, I don't know how many feet forward, back, 3 times. And then that's when you do the run. So there's 8 components to the physical fitness test. So go to azdoc.gov, I think is the website. I'll link it in the description below to get an exact idea of the fitness test, and it'll list everything in order of what you do. Now, when I was doing the testing, once you got done with the written exam, they would start pulling you by who is by alphabetical order. I don't know if they do that now. So the people that weren't involved in the fitness test would start on their psychological evaluation, which is like 700 and some questions. It might be 700 even. Once you get done with that, you get fingerprinted. You also got to turn in a bunch of paperwork that's requested of you prior to testing. And if you don't bring that, you can turn it in at a later date. But to test, you do have to have a valid ID. So you do have to have a driver's license to become a correctional officer. Now that may have changed, but I'm pretty sure you do. Now, if you're becoming a correctional officer trainee, I'm pretty sure you got to have a driver's license. There's 5 qualifications, guys. I can't remember them off the top of my head. You can look on the website for more details. But I know it's a valid driver's license, no felony convictions. You got to be a permanent resident, and there's a couple other. I think you got to be, now it's 18. You used to have to be 21, and then there's one more. So look it up on the. I'll leave the link below, like I said. And then the site, once you get done with the psychological and the fitness test, we fingerprint you, and then you're done for the day. It's a long day. You're looking at about 6 to 7 hour day, especially if your last name is like a Z. You're going to be waiting in there. You're going to be all done, finished, waiting on people to return back so you can finish your fitness test. Now the written exam is obviously graded right there, so you'll have your result right away. If you don't get a Scantron back, that means that you didn't pass. You're going to get called up, and the sergeant's going to reschedule you for a new test date. I think you can take that test as many times as you want. That may have changed also. Now, some of the differences from what I just explained, from when I was doing it to now, and I was just talking to a good friend of mine who is still with corrections. I won't mention his name. But now I think you can do the written exam, and you can do the physical fitness, or maybe it's the written exam, psychological eval, physical fitness, and then you can do the rest at a later date, and they put you at the prison facility as a trainee, and once all your background gets processed, and I believe you got to do a medical, but once that background gets through, they call you, and they give you a date to report to the academy, and then you go through the academy, graduate, and then come back to the facility. Now, if you're going to remain a correctional officer trainee, you'll never go through the academy, but really there's no purpose in that. The correctional officer trainee was implemented because of the age limit at the time was 21 years of age. The trainee, you could be 18, and it was really to fill vacancies. But now the post standard has changed and it's 18, there's really no reason to become a correctional officer trainee. Just become a correctional officer. Go through the academy, get the experience, and you'll be good. Now, when you go to take your medical physical, and this is another thing at testing they'll tell you, they'll schedule you for your medical physical, and they'll also go over your drug test information, and they'll give you all that paperwork. When you go to your medical physical, you'll take a UA, but it is not your drug test. So do not take that paperwork with you to your medical physical, because it's an automatic disqualification, and I'm pretty sure that rule still stands. The sergeant will explain to you in detail not to do that. You will be called at a later date to take your UA. Now again, maybe that has changed, go look, but I'm pretty certain that has not. When you do your drug test, if you have any type of narcotics in your system, any type of controlled substance, it doesn't matter if you have a prescription for it, you will be disqualified for 1 year. And then you can come back and retest. So if you're taking like pain medication or something like a benzodiazepine for anxiety, which is like a Xanax or Valium, Xanax, Valium. Sorry, I'm dizzy. It'll disqualify you. It doesn't matter if you have a prescription, just like marijuana. If you've got marijuana in your system and you have a card, doesn't matter. We're going to DQ you. We might let you test if you say, hey, I've got a marijuana card. We're going to take a copy of it, let you test, but you're going to be disqualified. Now, the rules have changed on marijuana. I think it's now 3 years. It used to be no more than 20 times in a lifetime and no more than 5 times after the age of 21. That has changed. So look up the drug use policy within the AZ Post Standard and see if you qualify. If you don't qualify, you're wasting your time. And remember, integrity is everything, right? So be mindful. We're not going to polygraph you. Now, is there a chance that you may get polygraphed? Yeah, it's in the policy. I have never seen or heard of anybody being polygraphed. Doesn't mean it won't happen. But I've never seen it, never heard it. Now, let's say that you get hired and everything's good to go. Get through the academy, or you're waiting to get to the academy. The Department of Corrections implemented random drug testing back in, I think it was 2014. So you're thinking you're good. I got through my drug test. Now I'm going to start taking my prescription meds again. Prescription meds are fine as long as they're not narcotics. If you come up dirty, you're going to be terminated. Now, I believe if you have marijuana in your system, because I had an officer that tested positive for marijuana, I want to say we put this person in a 30-day light duty post and gave them a chance to get that out of their system. 30 days later, we retested this person and they still had it in their system and we terminated them. I believe that's changed. If you have any type of, not illegal substance, marijuana is about to be legal. It's legal if you have a card, but it doesn't apply to the post standard, right? So if you have anything like that in your system, illegal drugs, marijuana, and you don't have a card, even if you have a card, it doesn't matter. You're in a safety sensitive position and you will be terminated. So remember that. Just because you have a medical marijuana card or you have a prescription for Percocet or Vicodin or Xanax or whatever you take, that is considered a controlled substance, you will be dismissed and banned from reapplying to the Department of Corrections. So remember that, because if you get terminated and you want to become a police officer or anything to do with law enforcement, they're going to reach out to corrections and request to see why you quit or whatever you put down. And if you put down you quit and they find out you're terminated and then they find out the reason why, you're going to be DQ'd from that police department. Now, you can choose not to put down that you worked for corrections if this happens to one of you guys. And I'm not saying this is going to happen to everybody. Obviously, I'm just giving you the what ifs because it does happen. You might get away with it. You might not if you're applying to different police agencies. But it's likely that they will find that you worked for the Department of Corrections. It's simple to go off your Social Security number. However, that would be something I'd have to ask my buddy that works in BIU. No, that's my good friend. So I'll clarify that. I will ask him that question. Anyway, so that's pretty much the testing process, right? Let's go back over it again real quick. You're gonna apply, pick the prison you want. I don't think I stated that in the beginning, but you can go back and look at my old video. It's pretty much a similar process. Pick the prison you want. You're gonna schedule a test date. You can schedule a test date online now. You're gonna do the written exam, the psychological, the physical fitness, fingerprint. You gotta go through a medical evaluation. You gotta get drug tested. And like I said, a lot of that's not on the same day anymore. It used to be all on the same day. Your written test, your fitness, your psychological evaluation, your fingerprints, and then we would schedule you for your medical, physical, hopefully that next day, because the process was leaned out, I think in like 2016 or 17, I can't remember which year. So obviously the state of Arizona is all about lean and eliminating extra processes, because when I went through, it took me like 6 months. I went and took the written, had to come back. Got called for the physical fitness, passed it, had to come back. Got called for the psych eval, passed it, had to come back. Then I finally got a date for my medical physical. And then I had to go down to the office to get fingerprinted. So it's a much simpler process. CODA is much simpler. It used to be, I think, a full week of self-defense, at least 3 or 4 days. I think it's like a day now. They don't even put their hands on you. They've completely changed the way the academy is, and that's because of the way society has changed and the things that you're seeing that the media is blasting all over the news, and the complaints that are filed by some of the cadets in CODA. So it's just changed. But if you think about it, you're going to work in a prison system. There's a high likelihood that you will be assaulted, or you will have to put your hands on an offender, or they might put their hands on you. You need to know how to defend yourself. And you're not going to learn that, obviously, even in 3 days or a week or 2 weeks in the academy. It's not 2 weeks. Learn how to defend yourself, and keep yourself in shape, because you might have to respond to an incident, and we don't like you to run to the incident, or they don't, because you could trip and fall and hurt yourself trying to get there. But you want to get there in a hurry. I've ran to incidents, and I'm not telling you to do that, because that's not what they want you to do. But you might have to get there in a hurry, and if you get there and you're out of breath, you're no good to those officers, because you can't even breathe. So keep yourself in some semi-good shape. It's very important that you keep yourself in shape. Now, it's easy for me to sit here and say that. I tried to keep myself in shape. When I went down to recruitment, I put on some weight. I just wasn't as active as I was on the yard, especially when I went to Perryville Complex from Lewis. Lewis was 10 times busier than Perryville ever thought of being. Not to say Perryville's not busy, it's just a different busy. But things have changed. I'm not going to lie to you. Corrections is very short-staffed. I still have a lot of good friends that work there that I talk to. They're short-staffed. They always have been, and they probably always will be. But it's a good job. It's a lot of good learning experiences. You'll meet a lot of good lifetime friends. You'll make some great friendships. You'll meet some great people, and there's a lot of opportunity within their Department of Corrections that a lot of people hate on. You get a lot of negative comments about corrections. A lot of people that I see, they quit and then they hammer corrections because the pay sucked, or their sergeant sucked, or they hated their lieutenant, or their captain was a dick, or whatever the case may be. The deputy warden was a prick, the warden. There's always going to be something to bitch about. At every job, it's not all freaking, candy at every job. It's not. There's a lot of things in jobs that you're always going to dislike. You just got to go and do the best you can. Obviously, corrections is way more of a negative aspect if you really look at the grand scheme of things. You're working inside of a prison facility. These inmates or offenders or whatever you want to call them, they don't want to be there. So they're pissed off half of the time. But I guess you do the crime, you do the time. But there's a lot of good people that you're going to work with. Just make sure you walk that line. You don't cross it. You don't start bringing in dope or cell phones or whatever it is that's going to get you terminated and then blasted on the news. Completely embarrassing, right? Don't be that person, I'm telling you. Look at some of my old videos. I've had some officers that I've had to terminate that I caught red-handed being dirty. So thanks for tuning in. I know it's kind of a long video. I was kind of all over the place here. Just haven't been all there. So getting back to normal here pretty quick. And all my goon squad, thanks for checking back in. I know you guys are watching. Leave some comments down below. I'll pin the link to ADC, Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehab and Rehabilitation, I think it is. So you guys can check out some of the facts that maybe I left out or I wasn't exactly factual on. So again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Tune in for my next video. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Peace.